That's that boom. That's that boomer. That hot boomer shit.
Bruce Springsteen. Here we are, level 3. Look
Yeah,
at this.
welcome to level 3, guys.
Look at this new setup.
Oh, let me take the sunglasses off for this. Hell yeah, dude, level 3. It's getting a bit gray out there. Did I pause the stream or?
I don't know what you did.
I don't know what I did, but welcome onto the stream.
Properties. All right, there we go. Yeah, our song's still playing a little bit. Let me just cut off that. There we go.
And here we are, fucking
Yes.
it up.
Oh, yeah. CP has devolved into Arnold.
I don't know if I'd say devolved, dude. I think coming to America from Austria, being a bodybuilding champion, becoming a governor, becoming a top movie star. I don't know if I'm gonna say what you want to say about Arnold, but I don't think I'm ever gonna be Arnold level. And that's fine.
I'm not saying it's a devolution to become Arnold. I'm just saying you, in this moment,
have devolved into.
Yeah.
That's saying that I'm more evolved. That's the way I read it. I don't know.
Oh.
Probably I'm wrong, but I don't care. Doesn't matter. That's level 3 for you. The only thing that matters maybe is Matt, right? Huh?
It would be very pretentious of me to think that.
Well, what if I think that? Is that odd? Am I
kind of a compliment if you think that?
Am I a super fan?
You're an enabler.
I'm an enabler.
Yeah.
I was just watching about how to detect a narcissist, so you better look out, man. So far, so good.
Good.
So far, so good. So how's your week, man?
It's hard to discern an ADHD person from a narcissist. Because the behavior comes off as selfish and self-serving.
Well, that's how we get around it.
I guess so.
I'm not a narcissist. I just have attention deficit disorder.
To answer your question, as of 2 days ago, I'm finally healthy again.
Oh yeah, you've been sick.
I've been sick for almost an entire month, and it's the most sick.
You've been collecting sicknesses like most people collect Pokemon.
It's the most sick I've ever been, I think, is like how
caught them all, right?
Long. I caught all of them except the shiny Pokemon. the COVID. I didn't catch COVID.
Nah, that one's getting old. It's not a rare card anymore, right?
I caught pneumonia. I had the common cold. I had allergies. Severe allergic reaction to something in my life.
What about old monia? You said you have the pneumonia.
Old monia is tuberculosis. That's the old monia.
Oh. What about ammonia? Ammonia. What about that?
Storm of Iron. Hello. Welcome.
Oh, Storm of Iron caught Moni, I think.
Does a narcissist detector look like a PKE meter? Maybe.
You know what it looks like? I don't know, dude, because I don't even have the chat up. That's how we're starting in level 3. Welcome in, Storm of Iron. I don't even know how to get this chat window. Oh, I guess I got it over here.
Lots of numbers being thrown around. So the Ghostbusters PKE meter. I forgot that's what it was called. Yeah, I think it would look just like that.
Oh, dude, I'm sorry, Storm, that I didn't say anything about that because I didn't even give it a second thought. I'm like, yeah, PKE meter.
Yeah.
This motherfucker doesn't even know what a PKE meter is. Starting out level 3. I don't know what he probably knows what EKG machine is, but PKE.
Well, the
PG 13, more like it.
PKE meter actually kind of goes into what we're going to talk about today.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, which we actually like talked ahead of time about what we're going to talk about, which we don't do that often.
Yeah, and we're kind of on trend as well. We're kind of on trend with things that are going on. It's the time of tech.
Yeah. Inky's in her couch, guys. Look how cute that is.
For those of you who don't know, the Consumer Electronics Show just happened. So we got to see some of the the groundbreaking tech that's going to take us into the future and not stroke our egos and give us silly things to do. It's going to fix us all into this beautiful utopia.
We're all going to be.
It won't be
a
sex robot or anything.
Oh my God! I watched it.
Surely,
To catch up.
Surely it can't be.
To brush up on our subject today, I actually watched one of the CES videos, like of someone going around the floor and looking at stuff.
I hope it wasn't one of the ones I watched, because Em and I were very cringed.
Yeah, there was one where he went up to talk to one of the guy doing the humanoid robots, and he wouldn't shut up about, oh, I wanted to make them attractive. And I'm like, you just wanted to make sex robots. Like, dude, come on.
That's the one. Now, we don't have to share this clip. Just put like CES and watch some of the first ones, because I watched that one too.
But it would be okay to share the clip because it's the guy presenting it. He's proud. He's proud of it. He's like, dude, look at this.
If you want to drum that up and get that on a live Discord react, because I got some things that I could say about the ridiculousness of this. We're going to go through our normal, while he goes through this, we're going to go through our normal program talking about technology, starting from, our beginnings. And we've done this a little bit before, and we'll go through and talk about, is it getting any better?
Yeah.
Is this required? Do we really need half of this stuff, or is it really improving, or is it any better from when we were kids? Have our lives improved, or are we just jaded by some mystical nostalgia of
that was another
robots?
That was another one of my favorite things about that video, was that he went from these robots that are going to be in everybody's home soon to someone with a little Atari device that plays our Atari games. It's like, on one side we want progress, and on another side we want
$150. I'm looking at you. $150 Atari Switch. I'm looking. See, and like, you're saying exactly what I'm thinking.
When you could I would love a device that just plays all games instead of, I wouldn't want to buy a $150 proprietary Atari program thing.
You're a nerd, dude. You could get any of that. Emulator City, you know, like you can buy joysticks with all the little bits and bobs.
That's true.
And you could have every game. I mean, I think that's part of the problem with the novelty of some of these gadgets. It's less about the access, and do we need it? We haven't needed that for years, right? We haven't, like, emulation and stuff is the thing. Not that I have an opinion on that.
How much went into?
But it's the packaging.
It's the packaging. It's the kicks. We're in the Kickstarter sort of the industry that Kickstarter has created. Is some dude just got off work, tired, goes to Kickstarter. Oh, that's cool. I'll send him $5. If 1 million people do that, that project gets created, even if it adds nothing to society.
And I hadn't seen CES in a while, but I felt that model that was in there, because I don't know if they normally come out the gate with a lot of stuff that's kind of in development in a Kickstarter phase. I felt like a lot of this stuff was being presented kind of halfway through. Like, do you think this is a good idea? It felt like that. I don't know if that's normally a thing, if it's more like private investors, but now it's so easily sourced, I would imagine, from, do you want this, people? And so that's, I don't know. How do you feel about that? Like, just,
well, I feel like
whether it's a big corporation or it's for the people, like, that want it.
Well, a lot of the things that they presented in that manner, my answer in my brain was always no. It's like 90% of the stuff at CES is just flexing. It's like these companies just flexing their R&D departments, or it's just these ideas that people don't actually need. Like the laptop that has its screen that extends, so it's just a little bit taller. I'm like, okay.
That's called the hat. That one's called the hat on, buddy.
I would maybe use that once.
You know that little ribbon thing that they stretch out?
Yeah.
I just want it to be a flaccid ween and just do. You know, the hat on. You know. No, I don't really want that. But Abso, I will say, she took a little shine in the eye to that. Not the hard on, the computer.
I mean,
when she saw that, I was like, what's the fucking point? I get it. You know. Well, but she thought it was cool. What's CP doing in the background? He's screaming out Tate mode. And if anyone doesn't know what that is Tate, T-A-T-E. It's the orientation of what arcade cabinets used to be.
Oh.
So for me, it's like it's always throwing back like the
Man.
like the Atari thing. I'm like, ooh, new 1,000-year-old shit that
Andrew
like, it
Tate's
doesn't even.
Andrew Tate's infamy has ruined that phrase for me. I'm like tape mode. Oh no, God, no, not tape mode. Don't say that.
Forget about him.
Don't say tape mode.
No. Hopefully he wasn't even born when Tate mode was around. Is the precursor? No.
Hopefully.
I forget about that guy, man.
Yeah.
Like I don't like to shit on too many people's like.
It's good that you forget about that
but,
guy. It's good that
but
you.
That guy's something, man. And we have to talk about him a little bit for the sake of a channel that's not talk about him, and mention him because we're guys that represent masculine guys who also like feminine things and stuff, queer things, whatever you want to call it. But Tate would be like, oh, these cucks, and it's like, dude,
so we'll spend.
Dude. I'll fucking roll around with you, dude, and not in the.
Let's jump
any way you want, but it's not going to be good for you in the end.
We're gonna jump right into the breaking ground, because we're already talking about it.
breaking ground.
Level 3, breaking ground. All right, welcome.
We're chipping down. So yeah, technology. How
So what we have here is a classic case of need versus want.
Oh yeah. That's not even a conversation, really, right?
I have at least 20 or so things that cost over $100 that I never use.
Okay, let's go through this. Let's go through this then.
Well, that's just what it comes into CES in that way, because most of the stuff I'm seeing is like my iPad costs a ton of money. I use it every day. I use it in multiple ways for multiple things. That was a very valuable piece of tech. It solves so many problems for me. Whereas on my desk here, I have this little thing, right? This thing is worth about $150. And the only thing that this does is help you navigate a 3D animation software easier.
Yeah. And you never use it?
I'm not in the industry, so I just don't use it. I haven't even tried it yet. Every time I've gone into a 3D animation software, I've used my mouse and my hotkeys that I was trained on for, the better part of a year to use. This thing I actually didn't even buy. My friend gave it to me, but they spent that much on it. And it just feels like I didn't need it. I learned how to do it the old way, and I have to relearn how to work just to use this device, even though it would technically make it easier.
Yeah. So I get that. I mean, that's kind of leaning towards how you and I operate too. Yeah. So sometimes it feels more tedious, right, to spend whatever it would take for time, because that's dreadful, right?
So it was
right?
Yeah. The time that you put into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm Dr. Dild.
But you have tons of different things, you said, huh?
Hundreds. I have a lot of things, like my Nintendo Switch. I don't play that much at all. And I definitely don't get I could say I got my money's worth with a few games. There's a few games I played like crazy on it. But overall, on a term of did I need it? No, I didn't really play it enough to need it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. So I got Switches about the same time, and they were gifts. And so we have a couple Switches. Not once has Abso and I sat down nerd style and both been on our tablets playing the Switch, like in bed or on the couch. We use those. You saw that when we visited you, she brought it down, and she's been using it more. But
there was a game that she fell in love with, right?
Yeah, which is a game from the 80s, Oregon Trail. It's like, it's so funny, like all this new tech and everything, we're still kind of going back to these simple nostalgic feels. But and it's weird. Do you find that you have a piece of tech sometimes like that, and then you use it all the time? After, like, you might have it for a while, and then like like the Switch, she wasn't using. We weren't using it forever. Now
Yeah.
she's
The one I wasn't
using it.
expecting was this new toothbrush, this like fancy toothbrush that I got. Also was a gift. It's funny how many of these gadgets are gifts.
I mean,
now that I think
because
about
they're usually a gadget's like designed for that. It's like who wouldn't spend their money for this, but they wouldn't think it's not necessarily not cool to have. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's frivolous, and I think that's why a lot of people buy them for gifts.
Without having to go get it, it's technically 4 toothbrushes in one, and it brushes both top and bottom and both sides of your teeth at the same time.
Does it have a bidet on the back of it too?
No, I mean that would help with the cleaning of it.
The other end?
It's hard to clean, but if you start at your 2 front teeth and you go around to the back, and then you start at the other ones and then go around to the back, and you brush your teeth in like less than 30 seconds, and it's it's motorized, so they like go back and forth. And it was actually like, wow, this is actually really innovative. I actually really like this, and I use it like at least once a week, because it actually will destroy your gums if you use it every day.
Oh
yeah, because it's that good. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of an invention that I have that I never use, and something. Well, I mean, so to be fair, I have some stuff. Like I have a Stream Deck I've had for a year or two,
right?
And the studio's torn apart, and there's some things that I have that I haven't used because of just nature of my life. One thing I got that I love, that now that I don't know where the cord is for it, I'm kind of like irritated. A head shaver. It's one of those fancy palm ones that you see like on the Instagram ads sometimes.
Yeah.
Where you could just hold it in your hand and then just palm your whole head. And it works really good. I could shave my whole head perfectly, cut the sides and then use the palm thing. And I'll never have to worry about like haircuts or shaving my head again. So that was actually one of the first things I think that I got that I really loved as a gadget. But dude, kitchen gadgets. I remember buying a juicer. I remember buying so much shit. I was hesitant.
Yep.
I've still got an air fryer for Christmas, but it's also like the convection oven. I'm starting to like that now, but I'm like, is that just going to be another thing that takes up space and I don't have a lot of it? And so I'm usually prone to push gadgets to the side myself.
That thing is air fryers are amazing, honestly. If you have a small kitchen like mine, air fryers are invaluable. I love them. And the way they work is like magic, but then when you see like a diagram of how they work, it makes perfect sense, because it's the same as when you have a high pressure system create a thunderstorm. It traps the air in a cycle and it feeds into itself constantly, and it just heats up that fast because it's cyclical. I'm like, oh wow, it just used thermodynamics and bam, hot food. Who'd have thunk it?
That's all we're doing, man, is ripping off nature.
Yep.
I mean, that's the best humanity's ever done, is to figure out how to package nature and sell it.
Yeah. I may have like exaggerated a bit. Maybe it's more like 8 things that cost that much. Some things didn't cost that much. That's why I thought it was 20 things, because some of it wasn't expensive, and that's why I was very quick to buy the thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'll buy that thing. And it's like, maybe I didn't need it. And then like TikTok Shop, for instance, is constantly trying to sell me some new gadget. And
I'm not on that talk.
You don't need to worry about it soon, because it's another thing I wanted to talk about today when it comes to technology. Is they're banning TikTok. Monday.
Yeah, I didn't even need to get in the fucking fight. That's what I decided.
Monday is when it's gonna be done.
It blows my mind. I don't get it. I don't care. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of people who are fucking livid.
Well,
a lot of people make a lot of money, but
like, before we get too deep into it, we are in breaking ground, so I'll go into the why. So it's fairly obvious. The Zuckerberg,
Zuck muddy fucks.
It's public knowledge that Zuckerberg lobbied Congress the most money that has ever been lobbied before, $7 million. He lobbied for them to ban TikTok, and they had to come up.
That seems cheap. That seems like a good deal in Zuck world.
For 7 million for
7 million
for one bill. Like certain industries have done billions of dollars, but for one bill to get passed, this is the most. And one thing that TikTok does that the other algorithms don't, because the other algorithms focus on making the platform more money, and TikTok does one thing different. It will it spreads
it's more open.
Well, what it does is it spreads information fast. So if there's civil unrest somewhere in the country, you find out about it on TikTok weeks, sometimes months before the news will pick it up. Like the conflict will be over by the time you hear it on Fox News. But TikTok already knew about it. People already rallying to try to fix the problem. People already gathering. People were already communicating about the issue. And so like TikTok itself, say what you will about the degeneracy that can happen on the app, that's happening everywhere. Like I scroll on Instagram, they don't care about our young people being exposed to sexual content. They don't give a shit about that. And that's not what it was about. It also wasn't about national security because Facebook is selling data to China already. It doesn't matter which app you're using. So, like, I don't want to get too far down that road. The main point is that information was traveling quickly on that app, and the government didn't like that. They didn't like that people could make decisions quicker than they could react to the decisions being made.
What are they just realizing this and just scapegoating TikTok? That's pretty stupid.
Mm-hmm. For the internet, most part, yeah.
It exists on all platforms. Like when things were popping off, years ago, I've watched things in live feeds on both. On YouTube, on Discord's another one that gets through a lot. Like a lot of people stream through Discords and stuff.
YouTube is almost as fast as TikTok, but Facebook, for instance, Meta, anything Instagram or Facebook, you saw this with the conventions. We would post about our show, right? We'd be like, hey, we're doing our show, and the show would be over. It'd be days after, and people would comment on the post and be like, oh, cool, I hope to see you there. It's like, no, that was last weekend. And if I had done that on TikTok, my followers would have seen it that day and come to see me. Yeah, exactly, Crazy C. That leads into my next point. So just out of spite, all the young people that use TikTok, out of spite, went to this app called Red Note, which is actually called Little Red Book, is what it actually means in Chinese. But we of course, we're Americans, we don't know how to speak their language, so we've been calling it Red Note on, whenever people talk about it. And it's a fully Chinese app. So just out of spite, everyone's joining this app and learning Mandarin just to spite the US government.
Wow, weird.
And I'm like, this is amazing. I'm like, I love our the spite that our people have towards our geriatric government.
Well, I mean, I think it's just too far behind. Like just like you said, the geriatric, the old age, like people becoming aware. Mm-hmm. These people becoming aware of what the technology has been able to do forever, because now I don't like it.
Yeah.
I will say, like, as the evolution goes on, just briefly, what I thought of the internet when I started, what I saw it as. I mean, I've been there. I'm an old guy. I've been there since the beginning. You've seen it since the beginning, and it was a different space. Yeah. It was a freer space. It used to be. It was way different.
A lot of the stuff just used to be silly.
Now I have, yeah. But now I don't. I see it like BoomerTube. It's messed up because, yeah, you remember the days, Newgrounds and Rotten.com and just this silly stuff and depraved stuff. But and what I remember, which makes me sad, is YouTube.
Yeah.
When I remember YouTube when it first started.
YouTube used to be like something beautiful in a way.
If you weren't there, it was a place. As a young man, someone coming up in their 20s, I was like, this is the space where we hang out. This is not bought and paid for television. This
Mm-hmm.
is not boring. This is not the same shit I've seen forever. This isn't old recycled content and narrow, boring views. It's whatever you want. And that's where I started to see what we do be born.
Yeah.
Before there were podcasts, before there were any of this stuff. 1999, here's a young CP going to his friends. Why don't we have more video game culture? You know, I like to draw video games. I'm surprised more people don't do paintings of them. I'm surprised that, man, it'd be cool if people were in video game bands. Hey, it'd be cool if people got together for conventions and like played video games. And
Oh man.
like I said, we were saying all this stuff and it all would come true, but YouTube was helping facilitate those cultures, and I met a lot of people through MySpace before Facebook.
Yeah.
And I remember that transition where it was like I liked MySpace. I had to code, you know, I learned how to do simple coding with HTML and it was nerdier. But then once it became Facebook, everyone's like, it's a lot more easy and user friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, but it was just a bunch of 20-year-olds. That's all Facebook was.
Yeah, because it
just
was
a bunch of people in their 20s. Like that's what it was when I.
It was
So
for, it was
flash
originally
forward to
for
now.
it was made originally for college campuses to organize events and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah, and Zuck remastered it. He found this old Facebook, and he just changed the whole format.
Well,
and,
before he got shareholders, though, his vision for it actually wasn't so bad. He had like some pretty cool ideas for it, and then the shareholders got the hold of him, and they started feeding him all this. You could make this much money. You could make X amount if you did this. You could make your company even more profitable if you did this, if you did that. And then the government came in and said, we need all your data because you're basically another country with how many people are on your platform. And then he ended up having to create new things just to deal with that. And I'm not trying to scapegoat for him. I'm just saying that
No, I think everybody has good intentions to some degree
Yeah.
in anything they do, from whatever perspective,
and
right?
there was a lot of he also kind of stole the website from his co-creator.
Well, yeah, it existed, and like the
Yeah.
thing existed on the college that he was at, and then I guess what was it? He and the Winklevosses like
Mhm.
got all they started all working together. I don't know. I saw the movie a long time ago,
Well,
but
we could do a whole episode on the stock market, Crazy C, but that's true. That's
Yeah.
very true. That's also part of tech though as well, is that the economy itself is a form of technology. We made it. We came up with it. It's all made up. Money in general is made up, so we could go down that road too. But I want to sort of get back to our subject because we started talking about TikTok, which is a form of tech, but I want to talk more about CES a little bit more because it's what we started on.
Mhm.
When it comes to this technology coming out, is that the last big thing that happened was social media and the internet sort of taking over the information age, and these tech companies are trying desperately to make the new biggest thing that we're all going to be addicted to and make them a ton of money. And that's what the shareholders are kind of demanding that they do. And they came up with AI, which most people don't even want.
Mm.
And they're
Yeah.
trying to jam it down our throats. And
I found that integration to be really interesting. It's AI has become the new HD,
yeah.
like because they'd always say with HD capabilities and things like that, you know, 20 years ago.
Right.
Now it's like, dude, I saw anything they would show, they'd be like, and this has AI integration built into it. And it'd be like, so when you're walking across the room, the fan follows you and adjusts its speed depending on how close you are to this fan.
Mhm.
And I'm like, dude, I want to break my fucking brain out of my head with a sledgehammer right now. That is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. It's not even
Like,
it's not
it's-
necessary.
Well, it's like when I walk up to a fan, don't you kind of want the fan sometimes to blast on you? You know what I'm saying? Like you're like augmenting something to shit, dude. It's creating this utopia, and there's no utopia. We've already learned how to use a fan, and who uses a fucking fan when there's an air conditioner, when there's a heat pump?
Yeah.
Why are you fucking still selling house fans? Like that's the thing. Like it's like, how can I take this thing that's pretty much irrelevant
Yeah.
and put some shit back into it? And
Right.
like for me, I said it's the nostalgia of Atari. The pack, they have little arcade cabinets again, and I'm like, That's what I'm geeking out over. But
And
it's
there's
still,
also, like,
I feel dumb because how many times have I bought those games, and I keep. It's part of the plan too.
like
I'm in it as much as we all are.
I want AI to actually be an assistant and not be what they're trying to make it be. That's the thing that I always wanted AI to be, is something that I don't need a fan to follow me around the room. I need a virtual assistant to help me remember things. I would like a virtual assistant to, if it ever became affordable, I would love some of my chores to be done by a robot, you know, like, because they're kind of in the way of my creative endeavors. You as an artist know that when your flow is broken, sometimes it doesn't come back for weeks. So like if it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this thing happened and I have to go take care of it, or I have a chore that I have to go take care of, the flow's broken and it sucks. And that's more of an inconvenience that I would love AI to solve. Because some chores are cathartic. Like, I actually don't mind doing dishes, but laundry can suck it. Like, I'm like, it's just so much laundry. And then, like, I would be afraid that I was using a robot as a slave, so I'd like thank it a lot, and I'd take it on walks. And I'd be like, let's go have a good time. Like,
What, you wouldn't kick it?
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't kick it? Like, I
Dude.
saw the whole CES show was just fucking nerds kicking dogs.
Yeah.
Like, see if you can kick it over.
Well, we're about to look at
Man,
that
I
now.
hope-
Let's actually go through
Man,
this
I
a little
hope
bit. I'm not
All right.
gonna.
I hope those dogs fucking piss on their legs.
I'm not going to do too many clips from this, but I do want to just show a couple things. Like, this first thing bothers me because, like, well, what do we need like a keyboard, a new type of keyboard for? You know?
Oh, you're doing it. Oh, so I thought you were doing it on Discord. All right.
Yeah, we're just doing short clips. You know, I'm not gonna do a lot. Like,
when new transactions add up,
oh, we got an ad.
you want an extra
God damn it!
bookkeeping.
I thought you got ad free.
Not for Ryzen Mind.
Oh,
Different.
what?
It's a different account.
Oh man, that sucks. Do we both have ad free? But come on, can't we link Rise and Mine? Yeah. So this robot,
All right.
I don't know. This is the cringiest shit ever.
I just want to ask chat. I want to ask you, CP. You walk up to a kiosk. You need some problem solved, and this is what you see. This version, not like some new version that has better skin or whatever. This is the exact thing that you see and talks to you. How do you feel? Like, it looks like a baby. It looks like a kid. They made it. They're saying it's more attractive, and it looks like a kid. They made it look like 9 years old.
Dude,
A 9-year-old with makeup. Sorry, bothers
It's
me
so
so
upsetting.
much. It bothers me so much.
it's so upsetting. And I'm like, what is that? Like, I gotta pause the audio in the background.
Yeah.
So it's just really upsetting because obviously, right? Obviously, it's like they did this technology, whatever's in it for software, and they shoved it into a real doll.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're not even
it's-
trying to hide that either.
it's like giving off that real doll vibe. Like, that's when
Yeah.
I saw it, I go, oh, they're selling. The first thing I thought, they got real dolls up at the
Yeah.
CES, but no, he's labeling this AI real doll as like a companion. And like, look, I get it. If I'm like an old man and I have nobody in my life anymore, having a little robot that sits in the corner and
Primary.
like talks to me about shit would be okay.
Yeah. It says primary function
Especially
is
as-
social interaction.
Yeah, social interaction. So yeah, that's how they're labeling it. But then this guy goes on to say, oh, but it has to look like this. It has to be attractive because attractive people respond to attractiveness more, and it's actually going to be better for your psyche. And I'm like, dude,
It
an
does.
attractive plastic Barbie doll that looks like, oh, look at the face on that.
Yep.
Like, it looks like she's, dude.
It's like every Instagram model that's overdone. An overbaked Instagram model.
It looks like Jenna Ortega stroking out. It's cringy, dude.
That's terrible.
And
That's
I love
terrible.
Jenna Ortega, but I feel
Yeah.
like this is like some vibe. I feel like her people should be like, dude, like they put they model, if they could, they would model these, like, look at this one.
You can even see it in his face here. He's struggling to find the right words, but then he says the wrong words. Beings are attracted to certain people more than others, he says. And then he goes on to say it's like creating a person it's very strange. Yeah, it is very strange.
I want them to ask him, what do you use your companion for?
He goes on to say, you want to become more comfortable with the fact that it isn't human. You need it to be more attractive. You fell hard. You fell so far to the uncanny valley, dude. Oh, it sucks. Dude. It just sucks. And like,
yeah.
Here's the thing: if I walk up to a kiosk and there's a robot running the show, I don't care. I want it to look less human. I want it to look like a robot. I want it to have like angular features. I want it to have that one glowing eye. I want it to have a voice that is like kind of nice. I wouldn't really want it to sound like a mean robot, but at the same time, I would want the voice to sound robotic still. You know, I don't want it to be human. It's not human. Stop trying to make it human.
I don't understand. Like, why even make them like, why not just make them blue? Like make them different color, like
even
make them human, to something to different, like a pale blue, like the Star Trek kind of color, you know, skin, like just something.
Yeah.
Like they're intentionally making giant Barbie dolls, and I don't know, when Absa saw her, she was like, this is really a lot right now. And I was like, yeah, this guy, in playing devil's advocate though, do you think if this guy looked like Michael Fassbender or some shit, you know, and he was coming up and he was like, hey, look at this robot,
dude,
like I don't want
to
say anything about that inventor in the background,
look like,
but it's also a vibe. He could have, you know, if he was a little bit more of a presenter and a little bit charismatic. Well, he looks like he might have some. You look like you might have some other use for those robots, buddy.
Yeah,
you do a lot of trial and error, is what I'm saying in R&D.
I get what you're saying, but I honestly think that even if it was fully ripped Jason Momoa selling this robot, the robot still looks like shit though. The robot still looks bad.
Jason Momoa could probably sell me that robot. Like, hey, dude, like, what's up?
He could try.
Look at this. Oh yeah, fucking smiling the whole time, nodding his head and shit. It would probably, it'd probably have a better. That's what I'm saying. The trouble with CES, these nerds need some people to sell the products. They need to make the robots attractive so that attractive robots can actually be their salespeople in the next 5 years, because they're not doing it.
That's just it though, dude. I feel like it wouldn't matter even. Not for me anyway. I'd be like, no, your robot is scaring me. I don't care how attractive you are. The robot's scaring me. It's like, it's basically just for, like, this isn't going to be for your workplaces to become more efficient. This is for lonely men. Lonely rich men, because these are going to cost like, I don't know, $100,000 for one.
Yeah, I didn't know what the price point that they were advertising. Some of this stuff's like affordable. Some of this stuff's like definitely like Musk is rolling up in some. Oh, I'm gonna buy two fuckers or whatever the hell.
One of the comments says the human robot guy went to the wrong trade show, and that's the highest upvoted one. We could talk about this for hours and hours. I do just want to touch on like the fact that he harped on the attractiveness. You're right about them being blue. You could make them look like, you know, Tim the Tool Man. You could have one of the robots look like Tim the Tool Man, make it more relatable.
Well, and here's just the one thing that I'll say to kind of wrap up my thought with it. It's seedy. It seems weird. We know what it's all about. I don't care. I don't judge anyone. If you want to buy a sex robot, if you want to collect them like Barbie dolls and have them in your basement and do whatever you want, it's a toy.
Yeah.
Play with your toy, do whatever you want to do. If you've got money to do that and you have a lifestyle that's not going to affect anybody, hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
These guys,
whatever you're doing. But like, to be at a trade show like that and then to put it so on the nose, like, we know how all this tech sold, right? We know how VHS became big because of the porn industry.
Yeah.
Blu-ray won. Why did Blu-ray win?
Yeah.
Because it was the first to put out porn. It's all
Yeah.
porn.
It's
Porn.
true.
Like this platform here. Hey, Twitch, we know what you used to have on you. These places start with porn, and it's just a little bit too on the nose. It's like, we're gonna build a robotic industry with people fucking robots. Like, you don't have to bullhorn that out there. Like, and I think that's why it had such an impact.
So
when,
it's not
when you saw it, when I saw it, when Abso saw it, it was really a hit because it was too obvious. It's like you're still selling sex to make tech industries for rich billionaires.
I have a
with the stock market, nothing's changed. Or
I've got a hot take that I think you're gonna love. I don't think sex sells at all. I don't think it's actually sex. You know what is actually selling when people say that sex sells? I think that it's actually fear of rejection sells. We're avoiding something we're afraid of. We're not actually going towards something we desire. We're avoiding something that we don't want to do the hard work to actually do. And
yeah, I'd agree.
I'm guilty of it too. And I feel like the porn industry has gotten to where it is because of that. Like, you don't have to, the video that you're clicking on can't reject you.
Well, yeah, it can be like that. Boom, your device has 15 viruses.
Well, that's
reset.
Well, that's later on. That's later on. that's after your computer's fried, and you're like, how come my computer's fried? It was just LimeWire.
I feel very rejected now. You took all my things.
Maybe.
You took all my girls. Yeah, no, it is. Yeah. I think that is part of the psychology, dude. Like,
part of it.
It's your fear.
I don't think it's the whole
your
thing,
loneliness.
though. I'm being a little too reductive. I think it's not the only part.
I think it's part of it.
Yeah,
it's part of it. Yeah, I think it's a factor in why it would happen. But some people just waste money too. Like
that too. I mean, there's a lot of I'm trying to word this properly. There are actresses that are getting money from dudes. Like, someone will drop $2,000 in a donation to a Twitch streamer, and they know that they're not going to get to go on a date with this woman. They're just throwing money at her because it gives them a sense of taking care of another human.
Yeah, it's a way to get a rush. It's a dopamine rush. That's me significant.
That's me empathizing.
Certain people.
You're right. It's a dopamine rush.
Like, think about it. If you were a businessman and you had tons of money, and then when at the end of the day you came home to a lonely house and you watched a streamer, and then you could just throw $2,000 at her, your life would feel like, how would you feel? Like, oh man, like, you'd feel probably good on a lot of different ways. Maybe the reality of, like, I'm not gonna ever get anything.
That's kind of what I'm saying.
Maybe it just makes you feel like maybe it makes you feel you're closer to that reality, and at the very least, you have some kind of impact and control over this person's happiness and well-being. It's manipulative in its own way. It's like you're manipulating someone's emotions to manipulate your own emotions.
Yep.
That's when they put psychology into marketing. That's why we're all fucking nuts, dude.
Kind of, yeah. Let's look at these other little robots here real quick before I get
they're gonna kick some dogs.
This is the thing that, like, this thing that happens here, I don't think they programmed, which is what creeps me out. This part here, when the robot dog walks up to them and is like, what's going on over here? I think that they've actually made these things have, like, almost like emotional traits.
Oh yeah, well that makes sense, because people, at the end of the day, that thing looks like it's gonna be a Terminator dog or something like that, which it could be, but it's like a toy. It's a giant toy. It's
little
like a remote controlled car. It's like, what were those things they've had before? Furby was back in the day, but how many of these? You saw a lot of these robots growing up, right? Like the Velociraptor. Don't you have one of those out in your bar or something?
I did, yeah, but it was, remote control. It wasn't a robot.
But,
yeah, I know what you mean, though. It's the start of it.
But they got a little bit better every year.
This thing here costs $10,000.
They're gonna figure out how to make them cost $89.99, probably, though, pretty soon.
I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want the $89.99 one, though, because, like, I wouldn't want the
But
Timu version that
everybody's kid.
catches
Everybody's kid
fire.
will.
How many house fires? How many like broken bones from the robot freaking out and tweaking out? This
They just
shit.
gotta make it a cheap version.
This,
$89.99
yeah,
is scary. No, they
yeah.
just gotta make a version to sell the kids, man, because they're not selling to all of us, man. The kids.
This
Kids.
shit is the most
That's where the
unnecessary
money's
shit.
at.
So he
Oh,
there's a part of
pissed
this
me
where
off.
he asks his glasses what the weather's like. What's the weather in Las Vegas right now? And I'm like, go outside. Like, why are you asking your glasses what the weather's like? Like, I ask my phone what the weather's like, but that's no different than checking the newspaper for the 5-day forecast.
Dude, this pissed me off so bad because you know what it was? It was like they were talking in real time.
Yeah.
And as they're talking, it's generating like AI messages probably about the conversation. And then you can look up, I guess it's a kind of a tell. You look up and you can see the screen. But you want to, dude, the well actually people, if any of you, look right now, public service announcements with CP 2025 from here on out. Any of you guys come up to me and you got your macho mans on and I can't see your eyes and you got that little thing feeding you that Google.
Yeah.
And you're fact checking me with some bullshit up and down.
Yeah.
And you don't know a thing I'm saying. And then all of a sudden, CP's just having his casual talk. Well, actually, blah 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 blah. You're gonna fact check me with Google glasses? Slap those off your fucking face.
Rideable electric scooter. The people that can't walk. Do you see the kind of the kind of people that can't walk? Do you see them fitting on this thing?
You see me fitting on that thing?
I mean,
I'll go get a suitcase right now and try to sit on it. I will fucking destroy it.
I mean, no offense, CP, but no, I don't see you fitting on that thing.
I'm a fucking 300-pound dude. Like, I can't sit. I fucking crush that thing. That better be made out of titanium and have like 1900 440 volt Ryobis up its ass.
This next thing I actually kind of see being a pretty good idea.
Bro, this is gonna be CP.
Yeah. This is there are people that do need some help.
It's gonna be me.
Like people with disabilities, that having your robot vacuum cleaner actually have an arm is a pretty good idea.
So I thought about that for old people.
Yeah, for
old people
old
can't
folks.
pick shit up off the floor.
Yeah.
But you know what, dude?
Yeah, there's that too. But what I'm thinking though is the main problem with
come on, guys.
The main problem with the robot with an arm is that you need supporting technologies to match it, and humans are we're already the supporting technology that these things need.
This hat's across the room. I can't get it. Oh.
Yeah.
Telling you, dude. So, and here's the thing. This was given to me by a woman I took care of last year who was in her 80s, and her son bought her this gadget, right? He bought her this gadget. Perfectly good thing for picking stuff up. You can help you put your socks on. Guess what? She goes, my son bought me this stupid thing. Do you want it? I take anything for free. But an 80-year-old woman didn't even want this stupid fucking gadget. You think they want to... What old woman's going to want that Ryobi, what is it called? The vacuum.
I don't know what it's called. But
Rolo, what the... Roomba. Jesus Christ. A Roomba arm. I mean, it just... And here's the thing. I thought getting one of those dog things would be cool for people.
The sticky rubber hand burning monkey. Yeah, I used to do that too when I was a kid. Yeah.
But you miss and you hit the floor or something and it gets covered in cat hair.
So
you're gonna have to have a whole pile of them.
The tech that it goes onto.
Oh yeah, that was
the rollout TV.
Abso liked that.
So thinking it's cool and actually wanting one is two different things, though. $60,000 to have a see-through TV that rolls down from like a roll. Interesting, cool, but where's the practicality for the common consumer? Like I just have to say, like, it's dumb. It's for some rich person to flex. That's all it's for. It's not for the common consumer.
Or it's for a business. It's like a business meet, like a room.
Yeah.
It's like a business room for some guy in a startup to flex and shit.
And
Like,
this
I
want
like I thought if you got the clear one in the glass though, dude,
Mhm.
if you put an aquarium visualizer, that would be cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I think a lot of this stuff's cool, but Abso likes it because everyone's getting kind of like turned off by the giant TV on the wall.
That's
I mean, my
true
TV's
too.
like
Yeah.
65 inches. If it could just, they're trying to turn it into either framed art with those non-glare
Yeah.
screens, which I kind of like because I could just put my art and my friend's art on there. But I mean, you could do that anyway on a TV and just deal with a glare. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, and like the hiding the TV thing, I can see like Burning Monkey said, like that's the practical application is hiding the TV, but also I think that the actual solution is just getting rid of TV altogether. Another hot take.
I'm work.
Like let's just
So
not. How about we just stop watching stupid crap and actually live our lives?
So I work for a woman now, and she doesn't own a TV. It's really interesting. It's quiet there, and I had to bring in my little radio and put on low just because the deafening sound of silence was starting to drive me crazy.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, they do have like cheaper options. I think they're like $10,000, and then they have some that are closer to 6,000 that are the fabric, the new flex material that is you can roll up the TV. And I think what Burning Monkey's talking about is something that you can spend like $6,000 and get one of those now. That you can hide the TV. You know, it's like a little box almost, and it rolls out of the box and extends up, which is cool. And then
Yeah, I've seen those.
but like especially now in for my personal use, I would not be able to really justify that. And even hiding the TV, like I'm actually close to not even needing a TV at all. Like I do so much in this room that I'm in right now. All my gaming is done here now. Even my console gaming. The only reason I ever go in there is to watch non-interactive entertainment, and even then, am I really even paying attention to it half the time? Like my life has gotten to the point where I want to create, I want to add more to the world, I want to do things, I want to be outside, I want to work in the yard, I want to help, my family with shoveling. And by the time I actually have time to sit down, like I should just be in bed. I shouldn't even be sitting down to watch a TV. I should be sleeping and getting healthier. And like I'm not trying to say that everyone should do that. Everyone, like some people just love their TV, right? But for me, I'm starting to drift further and further away from technology, which is probably why I wanted to talk about this today. Like,
yeah, I feel that. We're at a weird space with tech. We've been living with it for a long time, and
yeah,
we saw massive amounts of things change. The significance in the way things change now versus the way things changed when we were kids is night and day.
This one was cool.
I
actually full support of this technology. This was. Sorry, go ahead. I'm just still going through this.
Oh, the scanner.
Yeah, so you don't have to take off your shoes at the airport. I feel like airport security is still important.
Yeah, I don't see. This is what I don't ever understand, like why the technology doesn't become more sophisticated like that, because it does seem archaic that everyone has to take off their clothes and get scanned and or be naked, or to be you're getting dehumanized enough standing in a fucking line, getting scanned, throwing all your personal effects on a conveyor belt, getting in a giant tin can. I feel like a real piece of shit every time I fly. I don't feel very human. So like to make that experience any better, this was fucking me up.
This is
thing.
really cool
because
though. My problem with it is
it's like the little submarine thing we were talking about a couple weeks ago. Like you're basically getting in a toy drone and flying around. Like, but the price point killed me though. The price point was nuts, dude. I thought it was so much cheaper. Like I think it's like 80,000 or something. It's like within people's range.
I couldn't
believe it.
My only problem with this is it's not industrial enough. This looks like plastic bullshit.
It's a toy.
It's a toy. I would love this application for expeditions, for search and rescue. It'd be amazing for emergency crews. But the current version of it looks like it wouldn't be able to stand up to any of that work. I would love an industrial version of this because the application is really it's there for being able to get to places that a vehicle can't. You drive up to the point that you can, and then you fly the rest of the way to save the person or to help the person. So like a bigger version of it with a bigger drone type thing that can actually airlift people, that would be awesome. But
Yeah, well, the thing is that scares me. You ever seen people fly drones? You know, how many fail videos do you see of like people wiping drones out? You imagine the first time you fly yourself up in that thing? I mean,
yeah,
there's a learning curve that you can't fuck up on, because that's and here's the other thing. It said it's available, I think, in China right now for orders, and he predicted that it probably wouldn't be available in the US for 5 years.
Yeah.
So they're already like 5 years up on us working on this technology.
They're actually a better way to look at it is they're actually 5 years down on regulation. They don't care about the safety of their people like we do.
It's good that you brought that up, because my next point was like, but yeah, at the same time, they're kind of being the guinea pigs, and you're going to hear over the probably very soon, like Chinese man dies in drone plane, human drone, like it's
or something,
and that's I hate to predict that stuff, but it's just it has to happen with wind, and the technology so new. But but then again, in the scope of history, that's how all technology
I want to mention though that I'm being like, I don't actually know.
Early cars killed people left and right, and they still do, right?
I don't actually know if they have less regulations over there. Like I'm just trying to say, like, just from anecdotal possibility. It's like it's actually a little racist of me to even say that like, oh, they don't care about their people as much as we do. Maybe they do. Maybe it's just fast. Maybe their processes to create regulations are faster. Who knows?
Or they're just not that uptight about it.
Pretty bad.
You know, maybe it's just like they're like, we're gonna figure some shit out, and it could have its bad. It could cause some bad things, but we're on top of it. And historically that shows that their country had the balls to, if this technology becomes the future, basically it's going to be like Chinese people created this years before, and they took the hits and they took the casualties, but they developed the tech, and then the tech, they'll probably like own like the main source, they'll be the head stock, and like it's significant. So they just might not give a shit, or they might give a shit. I don't know what that perspective is. But the guy who was selling it, man, he was all about it. And it was kind of some shade too. I loved it. He was like, America, 5 years.
Yeah.
It was like,
it is kind of casting some shade.
You guys, right, 5 years down the road, you fucking guys will finally get here. It's kind of like that. Or you guys are too, or it was almost like, no, you guys are too uptight. You guys are too uptight for this shit, you fucking babies. It almost comes off like sometimes they.
Well,
it's not like being ethnocentric.
We don't need to spend like an hour on that. Like it's true. It's just not the same as we have over here when it comes to the regulatory compliance and the social aspect as well. They just have a whole different culture when it comes to testing technology and getting it out there. And
absolutely, man,
you're right about the dropping shade though.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the whole. I say that because the whole thing, didn't a lot of people feel like that though? Like they feel like salesmen. They're just like they are. I mean, they want to get their shit out there, and like you said, some of the stuff is complete impractical stuff. And then I'm surprised, like you'll see something stupidly obvious, like at the LG booth, we have this USB hub, and don't you hate when it covers all your outlets? Now this one turns, and you can have your little outlet, and like I'm sure that's That must exist, right?
It does.
Like,
There's a lot of stuff that
it's a no,
does exist.
it's a no-brainer. But then they show these things and $80,
Yeah.
like these things that they sell. It's a gadget that who really gives a shit about? But
Well, Burning Monkey, we actually did talk about that a little bit in the beginning about how TikTok's being banned, but TikTok was actually much faster about news. So if there was a crash of a Chinese man from one of these drones, you wouldn't hear about it on our news for weeks, and something like TikTok would already we would have already been talking about it for like a month by the time the news actually got it. So the news can be accurate, but it's usually slow. But to go back to the tech, like we're on this Atari thing now. I did want to like this us both being gamers.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to talk about this
the
thing.
The Atari Switch.
It's so weird that we have a hold on, let me go back to we have a manned drone that comes out of a bus
Mm-hmm.
coming out on the same show as something that takes us back in time. It's just such an interesting like juxtaposition of we have this device, which is arguably futuristic as hell, and then we have something that is both unnecessary and trying to go back in time.
Well, designers really understand the ebbs and flows of like fashion, aesthetic, all these different things of the past kind of circulating. So, we've seen, I mean, a lot of 70s is hot right now, the end of the mid-century. And
Yeah.
I've gone into it before, but there are reasons in it. But regardless, it's here. And so Atari was part of that, and if you look at the thing itself, look at the gradient on it, look at the Rise and Mine type stripes that I got inspired from like Dig Dug and growing up. And now that I'm making stuff, it's only natural that a lot of that aesthetic pours into it. And so anyone who's out there making stuff, there you go. It's all come full circle with the design, but it's also like what you can get now, because like it's like, so Atari's just figuring out different ways to get all its IPs back, to buy as many vintage IPs as it can, and then release different levels of tech. And they wanted to try it out and see what stuck. Now, a year ago. Well, a year
ago.
I just want to say, remember when I got the Atari?
Yeah.
The Atari that's redone with the cartridges.
But the price point
this year they were. Well, it's similar in price point.
Was it $150 for that thing?
It was 100. It's 130.
Oh.
And so for about 130 this year, or around 150 with some games, you can get the 7800, which is the next model. And they've made 7800 games, and they've made some new games.
That's a lot of games.
Yeah,
7,800
so they have
games. Sorry.
Yeah, 7,800. So I get it now. So they brought back their old tech. They bought Intellivision, which was their rival back then. So now they have all their games. They've bought back some Star Wars IPs. They've bought back Roller Coaster Tycoon. They're putting out a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger fighting game. So they're putting out new retro games. They're making old style retro games. They're making cartridge retro games. They've made hardware that you can just do downloads only, no software. And now, they made an arcade 1-up.
Yeah.
That's that same color that had hundreds of games. They've made a small arcade version. They've made the little Game Boy. And so their next move, their stock has been going up, and they've been doing killer. So they basically have made a Switch. And why it's cool is because it has Atari 5200 games, which they haven't released shit for. It has new and old games on it. It has tons of games. But then look at the controller figuration up there. You've got a joystick. No, you've got a D-pad. You've got a spinner, and the spinner's used for like asteroids, and well, not asteroids, like Pong. A lot of the Atari games use the spinner.
Yeah.
Then you have the D-pad, and then below that is right over here the centipede trackball.
Oh yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? For someone like me, why is that appealing? That's games that I haven't ever played. That's games I haven't played in years. That's new games, all in a portable kind of Switch format that I'm used to, but with all the ways that I used to be able to play them. And it has a keypad on the other side so that you can play in television games and games that use the keypad. So you can play all those games the way they were meant to be played, either at home or in the arcade, because you can put the arcade games on that. So that is everything that everything that Atari has done, like in that system, and you'll probably be able to get everything eventually Atari's ever done. Atari 400, and and they're gonna make new stuff. So that thing, for someone who grew up with Atari, that's something that I've never been able to do. Like, I had to buy this thing just to have a trackball in my house.
So you're the target. You're the target consumer for that.
Oh, absolutely, man. But then there's also like, there's people that'll buy that for their boyfriends and their sons and shit, and they use it once. Or there'll be a person who buys it and it's on a box on the wall because it's a collector's item. And there'll be people that buy it to scalp it and put it on Mercari and shit. There's gonna be a lot of, or say you're 30 years old, maybe you didn't get into Atari as much.
Yeah.
Like you, and then some old guy like me is showing you about it, but then all of a sudden you have a kid, and you're like, oh, I want to show him about my video games, and I might as well show him the beginning of video games.
Yeah.
Now the kid's into Atari, and now you've got these people that grew up in the most beautiful video game world ever, where everything looks real, and now you're showing them the novelty of you can play a game that has a square. So now Zoomer generation and stuff, they're going to be like, oh, this is fucking insane. This thing feels like a giant calculator. It doesn't have a touch screen. So it's retro, and it's also showing, oh, that was my dad's time. Dude, have you not done that? Like dug deep back into your own parents' history and been like, what was it like during the consensus time? What was it like during the 70s? I do it all the time, man. And so for me buying records, that's just like a kid who's like 20 buying a little piece of the romantic retro history that they weren't even part of.
I actually love that for going into the deep dive. Is we're gonna talk about how, I mean, this is a great segue into it. Is like, should we go back? I like the muck chamber. Yeah. The muck chamber trackball. No, I won't go back there, man. I have the Mario Kart one. I mean, the Mario Paint one somewhere. You have to take the little ball out and clean it. They need to have like ways to clean the trackball. For the deep dive, I think I want to talk about more of what we talked about in the intro a little bit too. Of
hey, I got a little guy here.
The necessity. You do have your little guy. I wasn't sure where to put him, so I put him in your screen. Oh, other side. Other side, dude.
Take my screen time.
Take my screen time.
Get it. I want to just twist your fucking.
That's our dude that does that introduces people or says hello to people.
Oh, yeah. Tear you up.
I don't have him. I don't think I have him linked to the chat yet, Burning Monkey. He's just sort of a retro-looking dude, so I wanted him in here. He's linked to the Space Viking 42 chat, I think.
He's just hanging out.
We eventually gotta get a little Rise of Mine Capamon at some point. Yeah, there is no current song. So here we are on Twitch, recording a podcast using current tech, and what I can't help get out of my mind is that is any of this necessary? Shouldn't I be like drinking coffee, talking to my mother right now, like about these things, and get that social interaction that way? Like, is it all just want? Is it all just like? Is it?
I'm drinking coffee right now, talking to my mother.
You are?
No.
Word to your mother.
Hey, Mom.
Word to your mother.
But no, isn't it good that we have social interaction and like you could be friends with someone who's like not your neighbor too?
It is.
I mean, like I'm not.
Oh no,
I agree with you.
I'm just trying to bring up a whole nother subject to talk about. I feel like technology does have its place. I feel like we can use it for many things. But as Burning Monkey or as Crazy C brought up, both you and I have grown up with a lot of pointless tech going too far in pointless ways. But then there's the tech like the outlet thing you mentioned that turns. Like it's simple, logical technology application that we didn't have access to in the 80s or 90s because of like the tech hadn't caught up yet. We didn't have a way to make a plastic housing for a charging block that could turn. We didn't have that technology. Now we have 3D printing. We could probably make any plastic housing that can turn now.
Yeah, you know what's funny? I just had kind of an epiphany.
Yeah.
This is all we've been doing. Get ready for this.
I'm ready.
All we've been doing for God only knows how long is selling squares, rectangles, circles, and triangles.
Yeah, polygons.
Sometimes alone, sometimes all together, buddy.
Yeah.
But that's weird, man. And that's what we continue to do. Everything that you keep saying, every little module, every little thing that I see over there. And then I look on my desk and I see things from simple ceramics to like a fucking toilet paper roll.
Yep.
Like the pepperoni circle, the square, like look, it's all just squares, circles, and fucking
and it used to be made out of it used to be the last triangle you bought was probably a slice of pizza, Burning Monkey. Sorry, I had to go
triangle slice. Pleased to meet you.
I had to go down that. Doritos.
The biggest triangle you ever need, or some booty, or some boobies. I don't know what it is, but shout out Sonnet of Silence.
So
this is the Valentine's Day pizza that lingers around this month. Our friend from Colorado made that.
CP, you're very right about that, because like even if you go down to the microscopic, even we're selling tiny pixels that are all squares.
Dude, I'm freaking the fuck out right
polygons.
now. I'm honestly like having a moment right now.
The most
I'm looking over here.
Form of digital 3D animation is with polygons, which are triangles. Usually you want to use triangles. It's more efficient. You can use any polygon shape, but triangles are the most efficient to use for making video games.
You know that part of the movie?
What part of which movie?
You know that part of the movie where the guy realizes I was the killer the whole time?
I don't know.
Whoa. Flashback. And it's showing all those parts. Pleased to meet you, Mr. Jones.
I've never seen that.
Oh, have you met my wife? It's in every movie, dude. It's like when you realize the person who's in the protagonist has really been the bad guy the whole time. Like they're like, who am I?
Yeah.
Oh, and then you have this discovery. That's like what my mind's going through right now, because I've got the arcade in a state where it's being really opened up and torn apart, and I just see triangle, square, circle, and I'm not talking like coffee cup, roll of toilet paper, hot water heater, circles, end of this mic. This is like a real 1970s dude. Circles and squares are everywhere, man. But holy fuck, that's all it is.
Well,
that's all this shit is right here.
Not to diminish your realization, but I also wanted to mention a lot of automotive tech that's come out.
That's all four, brother.
Yeah, I wanted to mention.
That's why it's expensive.
Yeah, I wanted to mention
the more squares, triangles, and circles. That's why. I just figured out another one, dude.
When you're backing up a car and you're trying to look behind you, you can't. You just like you can be very good at that, but there is just stuff you can't see just because of the angle that it is, and no matter what vehicle you're driving, there's sometimes you just can't see. So one of the best technologies that have come out is the backup camera. It's amazing to have an extra set of eyes helping you out a little bit. Even if like people will say, "Oh, you just look behind you," and it's like, yeah, but there's still stuff you can't see, like little kids behind your car. You wouldn't be able to see that.
Yeah, statistically, it happens. sadness alert. I'm not even gonna do this shit anymore. I'm sorry, 2025.
Sadness
I can't
alert.
Do the trigger warning stuff. Just know that I say really deep and emotional shit, and sometimes I've been beaten up a lot in life, and it might be a little heavy.
Could just say
get
it.
fucking. Just get used to it. I know a kid who got backed over, and it was like a friend's sister. It wasn't anyone really close to me, but it happened.
Right.
And it was a child, and it's horrible. And my dad thinks he's saved the whole world a million times over, and he's convinced when my aunt, who's much younger, was a little kid, he saved her from being backed over. Like so, but in a situation, she could have, in the woulda coulda world, also been backed over. And it is an amazing thing. But even in that world, like, I'm happy that that's there, but it terrifies me still, because I just don't think people pay enough attention. And I'm the same way. Like, and there's too many distractions. The backup cam's scary at the same time, because I use it, I become reliant on it. What if all of a sudden it isn't working one day, and I just full out back up into somebody? I should look too, right? But what if I get so used to that thing beeping off, and one day it doesn't work, and I run over somebody?
Even if the camera itself isn't working, the infrared sensor is a separate thing. It will still beep even if the camera's not showing anything.
Okay, you've made me feel better there. Yeah. But now here's the other one. I look at cars that I think are more than 10 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm more cautious of them, because I assume when I see like a Toyota Tacoma from like 2015, that guy probably doesn't have a backup camera. And I think people also assume that like, it's the idea of, I can walk in the crosswalk because you have to stop for me. I've heard people say that. When I was a young punk kid, I'd say that fucking gotta stop for me. But they don't have to. That's the rule. Yeah. But if someone's just like plowing through and they don't notice you, have to stop.
I assume
the law doesn't mean anything if you get flattened.
I assume every driver is seconds away from spilling their drink or dropping their cigarette in their lap, and I wait until they look at me.
What fucking year do you live in where people are blasting cigarettes in their cars?
Dude, I live in northern New Hampshire. Every car has that. Every car has the burn mark on their seat. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, cars don't come with cigarette lighters or ashtrays anymore. They used to have them in the fucking door.
The symbol.
In the back would be like,
focus on the symbol. CP. Focus on the symbol that I'm trying to say, though. You're right about the smoking thing. People do it less now, but the symbol is something. I
don't smoke in my car. And I smoke.
Something has happened in their driving experience that has diverted their attention away from the crosswalk they're about to go up to. And I watch them, and I wait until they look at me. If they're not looking at me, I don't cross.
Tip of the year from Matt right there. Tip of the year. Same thing. It's not a car.
It's a person.
It's a person, right?
Yeah, or multiple people.
When I walk out into a crosswalk, they tell you to do this. Don't stand there and just be like, I'm a sign person. You got to move, right? And you got to lead out a little bit, and you want to put your arm out. You want to start to get ready to like wave. You want to see someone's eyes. And then if you can wave and then they can wave, that's you got to get their attention. If you can't assume you've got the car's attention. It just rolls.
That's both sides of the road too, though. So I'll be like in mid crosswalk, watching the other side, like, "You gonna stop too, or what?" Yeah. Because I don't trust. It's like also that it's right. You're right that it's a person, but I also don't trust people. So like I wait until I know that they are paying attention. I haven't been almost hit before though either. This is just something that I think I was taught.
I know a lot of people that have been hit who live in like, okay, so my buddy Mike you've met, and then my buddy Larry that I talk about, they've both been hit by cars. They live downtown, and you get used to just crossing the road all the time.
Yeah.
And I think Mike might have broke his finger like they slammed into his hand and it broke his finger.
Oh,
You know, like
yeah.
he stopped it on the windshield, and I think Larry might have actually broke like his ankle or something. But
Yeah.
it happens. And one of the first times I went to Philadelphia, I was walking, and I'm country as fuck. I was walking with my friend, and then I just kept walking, and I stopped. Maybe it was even Portland. Maybe it wasn't even as big as that. And I almost just got clipped by a car flying.
Right.
And I just didn't realize where the lanes were. And I just assumed like you'll be safe. And no. And then like, oh, I know why I think of Philadelphia. Because like shortly after I visited my friends down there, one of them got hit by a car in the crosswalk. They lived, but like,
yeah.
It's not uncommon. So I live in a rural, calm area. Nobody assume that the technology, just because the light's flashing that says go in the crosswalk, just because the backup camera is beeping or not beeping, don't assume cars all have that. Because for young people out there, this is just it's probably all part of your life if you're like 18 years old. It's crazy to think, but backup cams, they're relatively new in the scope of history.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
I mean, how many people do you know that still don't have them? Like, my mom's car doesn't have one. My mother-in-law's car doesn't have one.
Stacy's Tacoma is
that one.
It does have one, but it's got one of the earlier ones. But hers actually has a more sophisticated marker system. Her markers actually turn with her wheels. My markers don't, and it actually is a huge advantage to know what the curve of your vehicle is actually doing in terms of backing up.
I think I can set mine to do that line. It's like a line that you would follow. It turns with your wheels for trailers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are handy. My dad has it, and so this is a funny thing about old boomers. My dad has that technology, right? He won't use it.
What tech? Which one won't
he
he
has
use?
the backup cam. He won't. He has it in his truck, but he won't use it the way it's used.
He's got the muscle memory of looking behind him.
Well, and the thing is, he has injuries. He's 72 years old, so it hurts him, right?
He still does
to turn, but he still will kind of hurt himself to look around because he's like us. He doesn't trust things, and he doesn't trust. I go, Dad, you can use that backup cam. He's like, no, I don't. I don't trust. I go, dude, it's the thing. That's
you can do both.
The camera.
You can do both.
I do both. I do both.
You look at the backup cam as soon as you put it in reverse, and then you look behind you to check your surroundings. You can just keep an ear out for the sound. There's lots of ways to have it help you, and that's just my first example in my head of tech that was a really good idea, and has helped a lot, and should be in every vehicle.
Let's do a quick in our lifetime, what's the best technology that we think's come out? Backup cam, the diabetic insulin pump.
Yep. A lot of medical tech is unfortunately locked behind a paywall, but is very, very good and a good idea.
I guess CPAP machines, which I rock one. I guess they save like if I wouldn't have, it's a strain on the heart, so you'll develop heart disease sooner.
Yep.
And it would probably be definitely checking out at 50, or 60, as opposed to now I get to probably live.
Actually, that's a great. We can jump into the breath of fresh air there as well. With that, talking more about tech that's good, tech that's useful.
I mean, it's time for I think medical stuff's important.
Fresh air.
We talked a lot about the CES tech, and the majority of that felt like very unnecessary.
Is there anything you might get?
Oh, from
the CES? Did you see it
from the CES?
Did you see anything that you might actually get through CES?
If they made an industrial version, search and rescue version of that drone thing, I would lobby for my town to buy one. Oops.
What did you think of the keyboard with the AI thing where
it's stupid.
You'd like lift your hands?
Stupid, unnecessary.
It's too mechanical.
It's
Look cool like the Matrix,
it's a lot
but
of stuff that can break. It's a lot of stuff that it just there's a phrase that I hate, but I also live by, is if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? The keyboard has been around for a long time. I got this guy here. This is a mechanical keyboard that does everything I need it to. The lights aren't even necessary, but I think they're pretty.
mine's not working that great, but that's what I got.
Yeah, but oops.
But I'm gonna buy another one, dude. I'm mid-centuring my room. I'm gonna buy one that looks mid-century. They got me.
Yeah,
They got
you.
me.
They got you. But
Sometimes it's just the fucking aesthetic.
that's the aesthetic, and that's what I wanted to get into. So, if they could make something that functions the way that I'm used to, the way that I understand, one thing that there's a streamer who's gotten very famous, Pirate Software. He had
Oh, yeah.
he's a game developer, and he went to one of these game conventions, and these kids were coming up to their booth and were pushing the controller out of the way and trying to touch the screen. And there were other kids that completely ignored the keyboard and mouse setup and went right for the controller. And then he had a light bulb moment of, I need to make this game playable on mobile, because that's the new thing. Eventually the keyboard isn't going to exist. Like this setup I have here, it would just be screens, and there'd be a screen on my desk that would also double as my touch controls for the whole setup. And that's what that's what they have in like sci-fi movies too, and I feel like we're heading towards that, because that's what those kids are used to. I'm used to a keyboard. I don't need a new version of a keyboard. I will always use a regular keyboard. But those kids might need something that integrates both.
Yeah, it's changing. It's always changing. Unfortunately, all this stuff that we like, I acknowledge it's probably going to become obsolete.
Yeah,
right? And
I don't like that word for this, at least not for this subject we're on. I don't think that technically it's going to be seen as obsolete by the next generation, right? But if it serves the purpose and function of what you're using it for, it's not obsolete. It's just not what they're used to. There's some tech that it's obsolete.
Yeah, I mean socially, like in like how you were talking about.
So you mean
video games, like
irrelevant?
It's the concept.
It'll become irrelevant.
Yeah, irrelevant to the generation. So yeah, that's, hey Coster, what's up? So the better word. So see this thing, this arcade 1-up. There's a reason that I have it.
What is that?
It's just a toy.
What's an arcade?
It's well, okay.
No,
so
I'm just playing. I'm playing that part of that kid. Like, hey, what's an arcade? Why? What was it? What do you do there?
So an arcade is an architectural arch that's usually built into a loggia where you can get out of the rain and traverse from one space to another space. Usually those spaces represent entertainment, and they've segued into movie theaters, and video game arcades were the most contemporary last versions of that design aesthetic. And a blind arcade, which is the mural I'm painting on the side of a building, is a recess in a building, but it doesn't actually go anywhere.
Oh,
so there's your arcade. Yeah, it's either that architecturally or it's a place of amusement. So when you look at movie theaters and you look at like a lot of the front arcade construction, it had those arches and that loggia and those columns because that was the original where it was derivative from. So, okay. And then if you macro it, well, that's the macro. Micro it, these things essentially have become a contained arcade.
Oh, a small version of an arcade.
Well, what was a movie theater, right?
Yeah.
It had a marquee that lit up that told you what it was.
Yep.
Terminator, Centipede, this is what the feature is.
Yep.
And then this is the screen, this is your presentation.
Yep.
And then this is where you are as the audience, except these are interactive and you get to be part of an arcade standing outside of it. Essentially, that becomes almost like the loggia that you escape from. Here at the Dreamers Arcade, we put lots of thought into what an arcade is.
Yes.
But
Well, I was just more
So
thinking
this is-
of I
so this
hope
is the
that-
arcade cabinet, is
Yeah.
what you're thinking of, right? So this is a 1/3 scale arcade 1-up. It's one of their first runs. They were really cheap when
Oh.
they first came out, and I got this for about $170, and it has a trackball and
Yeah.
a few games.
And that's cool.
Now they're almost full size. Now they're almost full size. See, this one was another one that came out. I liked it because I love the Terminator and it had the gun. Stuff's
Oh, why didn't
it's
you
more furniture.
Why didn't you just stay home and play those games?
Oh, you mean back in the day? Oh, because they existed in an arcade that I would have to travel to and then go into a special room that was designed like a casino with no clocks and no lights. To lose time and to get trapped in the noise and the spectacle around me.
Oh.
And so that I would spend money and pump quarters into machines, much like Las Vegas. You get it now?
I thought you
The mob made it. The mob made it.
I thought you would just go to this place and play them. I didn't realize you had to pay money to. You said something about coins? Why wouldn't you just slide your card? Why would you even need coins?
Well, now if you go to an arcade,
you can slide your card. You pay.
You fill a card, and then you have.
Yeah.
Or there's barcades that still use the traditional, or it's free play where they hit the switch and.
I'm breaking.
Yeah, the big buck ones. Pretty dope.
I'm going out of character here. You and when you and Em come visit Jesse and Margaret, we got to go to the new Smitty's setup they got because they got a huge arcade now there.
Oh, no shit.
So we can go watch a movie and then we can go play in the arcade. Be fun.
Oh yeah. And then there's there's also a cool barcade I haven't gone to in Portland. That's an old rock club that I used to go to. That's 2 floors and huge.
Yeah, Storm. Smitty's bought. Wait, what? Smitty's bought the building right next to them and turned it into a huge bar and arcade.
Yeah, we have a Schmitty's. I have a card for that arcade. Probably the same company because I have one in Topsom.
Yeah. So, like, what I'm kind of getting at here is that it is really the relevancy, right? Like, my generation, the millennials, and the generation right after me might be the last generation that understands the version of the arcade that you know and love. Whereas now it's going to be like these other ones that you get the card and you fill it up and you play some games and the games feel like so much less than the games you can play at home. And they're kind of, a lot of these kids are a little jaded. But then like I went with Margaret and Jesse and their daughter and she was like this is awesome. She was like, this is awesome. Like little kids still love arcades, but I feel like they get jaded a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the last time I took a kid. Like I've shown a lot of people who like our generation like below me like the arcade experience because I'm like one of those guys who can go through and be like, yeah, like check this game out. This is how you play it. And I have an experience that I can bring. I've never really seen little kids experience the arcade.
It's interesting. Even Stacy's son had a blast at the Smitty's arcade. Oh, what happened?
Those are fun though. Those ones are like weird. They're a bit more.
Let me just show. I gotta show you guys. Fun Spot.
They're a different.
We're talking about.
Oh, I found a Fun Spot video that you can just it'll show just walking through Fun Spot. It's ASMR.
So there's
it's like ASMR arcade, and you can like actually just it shows the whole thing.
Well, like
if you want,
like Coster was talking about how the most arcade cabinets. Like I hate that these businesses will be like, we're the best, we're the biggest, and they're just like using these loopholes. And it's like,
oh yeah, Fun Spot claims that it's the biggest, then Galloping Ghost, and then there's one in like. It doesn't matter. Like the one that I go to, the Fun Spot one, big enough for me, dude. That's all. It's you.
Yeah, it is enough. So here's.
And they used to have a man attached to them that had some pretty conservative politics, and I felt like they were never going to get any
that doesn't
Street
matter.
Fighter games. And Well, no, they were all American centric games.
Yeah.
Like they had Mortal Kombat, but they had no Street Fighter. It
Oh.
started to like look really bizarre for a while, but now since he's passed and there's new ownership, like they're starting to get some of like the Japanese like cabinets and stuff, ones I've never even played. And I'm like, yeah, there was a dude. Want to talk about weird politics?
Well, you want to talk
there you
about
go.
you want to talk about tech though? This entire facility and billions more can fit in your computer now. You could play any of this like in your computer.
But you can't play that mini golf physically, can you?
Yeah,
you can't hear that. You can't hear that thump of that pinball machine.
With a Meta Quest 3 and the right program, you can play mini golf in your house.
Bro, I've tried it. I've even gone to an arcade. They even have, you can even do the Meta Arcade and get an arcade stick in front of you so that you can play every game with sticks.
Oh, that's interesting.
No, it's not the same, dude, because your head moves weird. It doesn't track right. You don't get the background sound. You don't get the person to talk to. You don't get the person to compete with. Like fucking beat my high score.
You don't get the kid.
You don't get the quarters.
There's a kid puking on the floor behind you from eating too much pizza or some shit.
No, you see that video right there?
Yeah.
That's where the kids don't go. You tell me if you see any kids in that video, because that's the boring old man room. That's where they play 80s music and have shit from the 70s. They're down there in those fucking skee ball machines, and they're in the carts. No, they're fucked right off. Look, look, grown ass men. Ass men. You don't see a little kid there. He's downstairs riding around a cart like an asshole.
The reason I bring this up, though.
Sorry, little kids. No shade, but you know.
The reason I bring this up, though, is that's some of the.
There isn't DDR there.
I bring this up as part of the breath of fresh air, because it's cool that these places are still existing to sort of archive the old technology. We can embrace new technology, but I do want some of the older technology to still have its place in certain places.
Like what?
Like with these arcade areas that still have these old cabinets and keep them refurbished and keep them running. I wish there were more places that showcased working technology that wasn't entertainment technology. Like I would love to go to a technology museum that shows you how certain things worked. Like
all I can picture is when we went to that war tank museum.
Oh, I loved that
time.
though.
And then you're like, I want to see not arcade machines. I want to see how this turret really works out back with Steve.
I do.
Show me how to tank one in a U-boat, Captain.
Well, there is a tank museum. There's a tank museum where I think it's in Massachusetts. You can actually drive a tank. You pay a certain amount of money and you can drive.
Yeah. I have a tank too. I took the epic mealtime crew out for my tank. We blew stuff up. Yeah. You know, I was kind of ballistic missiles.
What are you talking about? Epic
Did you know Arnold Schwarzenegger had a tank? And yeah, that was a throwback to when Epic Mealtime rode in a tank with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Harley Mortensen was like, this is probably the best day of my life. And I was like, I bet.
I bet that's really cool, actually.
I bet.
So,
Arnold has a tank.
Before we wrap
I'm working on my Arnold this year.
Before we wrap up the show, what's some more examples you have of tech that sort of helped out and been a really good thing? What I'm thinking about this is I'm not finding that much tech that was absolutely necessary. that was actually a real good thing for society.
If we were given a list, things in the last 10 years that were invented, right? It's, yay or nay, smash or pass, right?
We do that.
We smash or pass, right? Dude, I guarantee, like, check that out. I guarantee there's gonna be a lot of stuff on there where we're like, yeah, that was good. Yeah, because we don't know it off the top of our heads. We take for granted so much technology, like just the inexpensive, like how good cameras are. Like I've always wanted to have a TV show, dude.
All right,
I have a TV show. You and me.
Here's a good one. GPS.
Couldn't have had this in the 80s.
GPS on your phone.
Yes,
I think it's
ADHD
huge.
savior.
Very, very awesome.
God. Dude, GPS is smash all day.
Oh,
I used to have so much traveling anxiety, and now just here we go, C3PO. It's wonderful. GPS is a fucking savior. And when
Um,
old people don't use it, it freaks me out. I've got an Atlas in my car because the woman that I drove around, she was so cute. She used to use the Atlas, and she's like, "How do you know where you're going?" And I'm like, "Oh, my phone." "Oh, really?" Like
yeah.
it was just always someone. She's never.
So we
She's like,
got
"We're in Turner." I'm like, "No, we're not there anymore,
the
dude."
artificial heart that actually works.
Foster, yeah,
That's
the
big.
printing the directions. That reminds me of when I was first with Apto,
I used to do
man.
that. I used to do that.
Going on trips. Fuck, dude. I totally forgot. Now, see, now we're getting throwback. Costa, but like even that 20-year throwback, that seems like a million years ago. Wow. Wow, dude. Wow. Oh, there were two things I just wanted to say. We were talking about the um irrelevancy or whatever of systems. A lot of times I know that I'm getting older, so I specifically made sure I got this kind of stuff because this is what
You
I
killed
always
so
wanted.
many trees to print off. Yeah.
This
All right,
is
go
this
ahead.
is what I always wanted as a kid, like to have my own arcade. So I knew when, even though these things are they are the hand built ones and this free CRTs that I salvage,
Yeah.
I knew this stuff wouldn't be around forever. So I have a tendency to salvage these things so that I always know I'll grow old and die. I don't know what this will happen with stuff, but it's like it's the area and it's the thing that I wanted to have and get it while I can, while it's still part of the world. Because the trend, the arcade era, see the rise and the fall of it, and I'm the Dreamers Arcade. That's a bit earth shaking, but I realized a long time ago that a lot of this stuff's going to be forgotten very fast. We know some stuff from our parents' generation and stuff, but do you really know the hot music from your grandfather's generation, or what books were popular, or
I can't imagine
a
what the
lot of
world
it's
would look like without video games, for instance.
I pretty much saw it. I mean, I saw bleeps and blue. I don't know. I can't imagine it either because they were there when I was born.
Yeah, and it's like I mean I know what people would be doing with their time, but I don't know what the world would look like. Like what else would have come out instead, or how technology would look, because the need for a screen in your living room, the desire to have a screen in your hand, a lot of these things happen because of video games. Like we
What
wouldn't
trip?
even
What trips?
need. Yeah.
What trips me out is just Alan Turing.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
It's the only It's the only reason we talk about AI integrated fan. I mean, you know why Turing did all this stuff, right?
It was to decode.
Yeah,
It was war, wasn't it?
yeah. The Nazis had U-boats, which were submarines, and they had a very elaborate way to communicate signals. And they
Yep.
used the Enigma machine, or that's what the machine was that they used. Whatever. He figured out a way to run variables,
Ooh, LED
and
light
it cracked.
bulbs.
Yeah, that's a good one. And it cracked the code. But like that was the precursor to AI. And did you know to teach his computers to play games? Like he wasn't very successful, but he was trying to make a chess game
Oh yeah,
because he said games are going to be the way the computer learns.
that makes sense.
And then you talk about gaming being persistent because yeah, it's always been here. It's how we have AI. We taught it how to problem solve, and then we
Oh,
gave it all our information, and now it can exist. Alan Turing couldn't figure it out then, but he said what it should be, and what 70 years later or something,
oh my God.
here we are. I think it's longer than that, right?
A big one that I feel like say what you will about the
80.
way Amazon does business, but I think being able to order something you need and have it show up at your house, that's a technology that I think is really useful, especially for medications, for if you're working on a car or trying to fix something in your house and you just can't find it anywhere near you. We would be beholden to industries within the 50-mile radius without
Yeah.
the ability to buy things online. That's a big one
Yeah,
too.
I used to get a medication like sent to the house. It was like one that needed to be refrigerated and stuff, and it was like really easy.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic, as much as I miss video stores, the experience for people that didn't get to live the video game era, the video store era, and go out and have to Friday night go pick out a tape and get there before they were all gone, and how that all was such a fun experience. We lost it, but during the pandemic, I was so happy to have like movies directly going from theater to HBO. It was nuts.
Here's another big one.
AOL Online, you've got mail.
Here's another big one, right? So my mother has had both of her hips replaced. And that surgery only took her about 3 weeks to fully recover from, because it's so non-invasive now. And partly that's because of the assisted tools that have been invented for those surgeries.
Yeah, my mom's done. Here's one thing I'll say. My mom's done knees and hips and stuff, but she didn't really. If you ever do that, do the PT, because she's she struggles, but I don't even think she'd be able to walk. That being said, like. Yeah, so it's helpful. My dad had his appendix removed when he was a kid, and he has like what looks like a sword stab in his stomach. Now you don't even see those things.
Yeah.
There's just a little scope in there, and they're so less invasive. And I know he did a rotator cuff surgery, and it was like so easy. They just stick a thing in and worm out and grind things down. And dental work. I once really did some dental work a year ago, and I was scared because growing up in that mid-century 70s in dental office with those lights and all that shit. Now the dude just has like a little headlamp and everything's so chill, quiet, and quick. And I'm like,
no one's freaking out
awesome.
because you're coding while doing the surgery.
Bro, I remember trying to go in there with like a debit card towards the tail end of it, and there's like little Rolodex and shit like flipping over and like scanning the printers on. Printing out on the ribbons. I'm like, what the hell is this?
I think that's kind of my big list is medical tech, GPS, connectivity, being able to communicate across distances the way we are now. We really take.
I like video cameras as much as I don't like them everywhere. I do feel better having. I have a little more security, and I noticed at your place you had a ring light, those are great, man. Like now someone can come to your doorbell, some sussy person, and then it pops up on your phone, and you're like, "Can I help you?" Like
I want to.
That's good and bad, but for your home, that makes me feel a lot more comfortable.
The depths that people will go to get out of doing nefarious stuff is. It's limitless. So being able to have security cameras that record what people are doing, like we take it for granted because it's an invasion of privacy. But if you're not doing anything wrong, then you have nothing to worry about. Like for the most part,
it's not an invasion of privacy if you have one at your home.
That's true too. Like that's more for like if you watch like if someone's doing something sketchy, like the amount of people that have been convicted of crimes because of the video evidence. That otherwise they would have gotten scot-free away with it. Like it's it's hard to like balance that because there are aspects of being watched all the time that sucks, especially with what the Patriot Act did. But when it comes to like
I like that. That sounded like patriarch, but you're like Patriot. I was like I was like, what did he just say? Patriarch? Patriots?
Patriots. Patriot Act, where basically they're allowed to watch you and do whatever they want with that footage.
That's why I don't want them in my house. Like, I'm still sketched out about
they're
that.
In your house,
like, walking through. No, I mean, I know a camera's here, but I don't have one like where I'm in my underwear.
Well,
like,
they can't see that you're in your underwear, but they can use the Wi-Fi signal to see where you are in your house and what you're doing.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. It's fine for me too, honestly. They're just gonna see me like walking around like talking to myself. They're not gonna see anything that like I'm worried about them seeing.
I'm very low profile. Like if you wanna follow me around, just watch this stream. There it is, dude. I'm in my
Yeah.
house. It's like some of us are a lot more open with it. The boomers have a harder time with it. Like, I don't want my dad. I don't want anything of me on the internet. Don't put rock pictures of me on Facebook. Like, it's hilarious.
Okay.
But no, there's been a lot of good technology that has come out.
Mm-hmm.
And I would agree, GPS, and even from this last show, the mini projector
Oh yeah.
that you can hook up to your phone.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I might get one of those, dude. Because like just for projecting out things, or like if I want to show you a video real
You gotta
on my phone, so we're not.
make sure you buy a good one that's like updated with current tech, because Stacy's got one that you have to have like a rat's nest of cables to get it to work with current technology. But it's a little one. It's a little at least. But
Have you seen my projector?
I haven't. Do you
It's
have one of the bigger ones?
No.
You get one that's under $50. Apparently Timu's got one for $21.
Fuck Timu.
I don't know how
I don't do the T.
I don't even know what I would do in order to fuck Timu.
Oh my god. This is my projector.
That's not
Dusty.
too bad. Oh, it's a little dusty, yeah.
Because I haven't used it in a while, but I think I paid. It was under $100. I've had it for like 5 years or something.
Yeah.
And it's not the greatest quality, but like a lot of times I'll do the thing like project out something. And no, I'm not a cheat artist, guys, but it's like the idea of building layers.
It's not cheating.
I've used like
I'm probably going to use a
I've made,
projector
like,
for a project I
photo
have coming up.
collages. Well, yeah, sometimes you have to like lay something out on like a big giant canvas. Yep. And I've used this for wall murals. I've designed the mural ahead of time and then projected it out on bigger on the wall, and then like outlined it when we did the community one, because I needed kind of a big coloring book. So this thing has helped out. And then you could put He-Man on.
Dude, this
something,
one
or
I just saw
Pac-Man big on the wall, but
says it supports 4K and it's only $40. The tech's getting so cheap and so easy to access.
Honestly, I don't want a 4K one. That thing pixelates out so fast, so quick. And dude, I'll draw the pixels in the projection.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean,
well, the 4K
the art,
for
the
just
nature of the
watching
art
stuff.
I do.
But yeah, for the art, I can see that being a problem.
Because like I'll break stuff apart and make weird kind of surreal landscapes, but I'll dig into the idea that it is pixels sometimes if it gets really pulled out too far and too
Why
pixelated.
is like TVs and projectors getting so cheap? Like display technology, things with lenses and screens.
Bro,
why are they getting so cheap?
Do you want to know why?
Why?
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I could see 8 screens around me right now, counting my phone and all my little tiny
Those
hands.
are like CRT screens though, but like I'm talking about
LCD, CRT, LCD.
Is it the whole supply and demand thing with like tech being like there's so many companies doing it that it's become cheap?
We all have it, dude. Dude, I go to the dump and you can find a 40-inch TV almost every day. It's like people just get rid of stuff. Like all these CRTs, I have 3 CRTs right now waiting at a house from.
Oh,
they're everywhere. Yeah, like I have little ones, 2 little ones, and then a better replacement for that one over there. But
I thought that the economic rule is though, if people need less of something, it becomes very expensive to buy a new one. Like if you have like 100 screens in your house and you don't need another one, then wouldn't it be more expensive to buy one because less people are buying them?
It's supply and demand.
That's what I'm saying.
So when they're
like there's less demand, so why isn't it more expensive?
Because it wouldn't sell. It's just because there's so many of them, they're just giving them away. So it's like a lot of times you're paying for your research and development. So when you've got this thing that's coming out at CES that's like $60,000 or that dog, eventually it'll keep boiling down till they figure out how to make that $89.99 version of it.
Yeah.
And then they mass produce it, it gets out there, and then it's over. But then like good luck selling those dogs. You got your R&D back 1,000,000 times over. made your huge profit, then all your shit's just liquidated. It's garbage. You're gonna find it at like dollar store. That's why you find these things at Big Lots and dollar stores. They're just liquidated products that aren't even worth selling anymore. But these other places will get them for nothing, and then they'll sell them sometimes close to what they were, but they're not available.
Mm-hmm.
So then a lot of people miss the boat, pick them up. But then at some point, things just get completely worthless. So they have to always change LCD, OLED, like Switch 1, Switch 2. Do you believe this shit? Switch 2,
Yeah.
a bigger Switch? Like, that's it.
I'm glad I
dude.
waited
You
until
know,
Switch 2 was announced to like. I almost bought the OLED one, and I'm like, I don't even play my Switch now. I'm gonna wait till they come out with better games and a whole new system.
Nintendo pulls some shit, and I love Nintendo. Nintendo changed my life when I was a kid, when I first saw some of those games. But as a company, Nintendo, I've watched you the whole time, and you pull some shit. You release your
Now
shit
they're a business.
over and over, but they've always done that. Like,
Yeah.
they just keep coming out with a handheld, this console, then the handheld over the console, then the better version, then they didn't adopt HD until like 10, 15 years after it was like. They just withhold stuff and new editions, 1, 2. They give up on their systems like before I think they even make their R&D back just in selling shovelware software. They're a crazy business that just is all about slight variations because they're kings of consumerism now. Like, that's how the people really make money. Either planned obsolescence or perceived obsolescence.
Mm-hmm.
You know the difference between those?
Yeah.
You know what
Perceived obsolescence is what's destroying. Like, if we want to get into like the nitty gritty of why tech bothers me to this day, it's the perceived obsolescence thing. It's like so much stuff is fine, and you should just keep using it. You don't need a new one. You don't.
Mhm.
They're gonna tell you need the best new thing, and Apple went as far as to take the perceived obsolescence and make it real through their updates. Like, you had to get a new iPhone or your phone was going to be bricked. And
they're getting in trouble though now for some of that shit
but then,
with like the compatibility cables and.
But the Supreme Court agreed with them on the breaking the phone thing. Like, the update will brick your phone and make it near impossible to use, and the Supreme Court said that's fine for them to do.
We live in a capitalist country, so of course
True.
that is part of the value of the politicians and corporations.
When you make $200,000 a year from taxpayers, if you make $200,000 a year from taxpayers, you can afford to buy the latest new phone. You don't need to worry about that.
I mean, honestly, it didn't matter who you voted for recently in this country, because they both promoted capitalism. So, not that I'm saying like change this, or I'm just saying capitalism is this stream, and that's why the Supreme Court will be on board with that, because it's that stream that this is how we make this country. This is how we make money. This is how we support industry.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I'm sad. The perceived obsolescence is an abusive thing that I think we need to challenge more than probably the breaking thing. Breaking things is one thing, but the perceived is sad, because that means they've psychologically gotten into our heads to make us feel bad about our stuff being 6 months too old.
So let's to wrap up, I found this other video of CES that is less clickbaity, and it actually shows some stuff that is returning to form. This is a new type.
Working on our clickbait.
This is a new type of
your smiling faces
pinball machine.
Oh, fuck you, dude. See, this is what I'm talking about.
But old and new together. I love that shit. I love it when they take the old and mix it with the new.
I didn't want to see this.
Why not?
Because I'm real hard for a pinball machine right now,
look,
guys.
it's a Dungeons and Dragons pinball machine.
Get that the fuck out of here. I don't even have the audio on.
You don't necessarily need it.
What's she saying though? Give me a
It's a
rundown.
it's a mixture of D&D and pinball, and you choose your character, and how the game plays changes based on what character you choose. And you have there's a dragon in there you can defeat apparently.
Back when I was a young man, pinball was just about balls and points.
And
You got balls and points.
here's a robot that actually looks
Take
like
it
a robot. It's not trying to look sexy, it's just a robot.
All right, I'm gonna ask Miro Kai a question. Let's see what happens.
So, pinball. This is the thing about pinball. Pinball is an expensive hobby to get into. Those
Yeah.
machines are so hard to repair. Okay.
Yeah.
I've entertained the idea of a digital pinball machine for a long time. The way they have all the bells and whistles, they have tilt, you can even feel the knocks inside of them. And now I found out they have smaller ones. And I'm like, oh, a small one would be great for the desk. And then this Christmas, my mom got me this little Pac-Man one that actually kind of does have kickback and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was playing it with my dad, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is cool. But I want a digital pinball machine that's small. And I've been on the fence about, ooh, what do I do? Which way do I go? Oh, you can put a switch. You can get a condom fucking arcade. You can get a condom fucking pinball machine that you slip in your switch, you slide it in, click it in. You can be playing switch pinball. They got that. There's all these options.
Condom?
And now they even have a little, yeah, they have a phone one. It's a condom of a pinball machine. You just pinball for your protection and her pleasure. His, whoever, anyone you fuck has.
Here's robots that actually look like robots. They're just supposed to help you with things. Here's a pizza oven.
Fucking.
You have an app to control your pizza oven. No, I don't like that. Nope.
Bro, I saw some kind of oveny thing.
What is this?
Dude,
little
I saw
thing?
some kind of. What?
What
I'm
is this?
behind. I think I just see the robot. The pizza oven.
Yep.
Dude, there was some shit that was like cooking, and it was like it'll cook your food for you. I don't know. Oh no, it was a coffee machine, and it'll do the art in the top, and it like heats up the temperature. It doesn't, and I'm like, it's taking the art like in a grill. They had a grill too. I'm like, there's something about like smoking meats. Zuckerberg knows about this shit too.
Zuckerberg knows about cooking meats.
He does.
He knows how to cook your meat.
He knows how to smoke meats. And then Google that. You can Google that. He smokes meats. But
He's gonna
there's
cook
a
your meat. Zuckerberg's gonna cook your meat. He's gonna cook your meat, guys.
He's gonna cook your meat, dude. Zuck's gonna cook. Cooking Zuck.
Oh my god.
But he does. He smokes some meats. I think he has cigars like Zuckerberg smoking meats. I'm not making this shit up. Anyway, but the point of smoking meats is like having a fire. You don't want to turn on a propane thing.
This cat's
No,
staring.
you want
at
to
me.
take what do you want to do, Matt? Do you want to turn on the fire with the propane? Or do you want to cut the little wood and put the little bric-a-brac and get the little fire started and let it grow? And
I want to cut the wood and I want to get the bric-a-brac going and I want to see the flame, but I also want an app on my phone that tells me, it reminds me when the meat's done, because I'm forgetful.
that's
So,
fine.
Like that, I want both. You know, I want both. I want the convenience and the ease of use, and I want my broken brain to have these aids to help me.
When Professor Precourt, when he got the meat smoker, he spent time in Texas. He knew how to smoke meats,
Right.
And he taught his son how to do it. He had that exact thing, an app, like a little thing that hooks into the meat and it tells the temperature. And that is really handy.
Number
but
21 on this list of inventions is a
they
graphic
still gotta
user.
smoke the meat.
Here's the graphic user interface was one of the inventions in the last 20 years.
What's that?
A graphic user interface is the app that we're talking about. All these devices that have apps and screens on them. Adding a graphic user interface to a device to make it easier to use is a huge invention. It's important for ease of use in our lives.
Costa's dope.
Do we need?
Costa, you're a dope, man. See that?
He's dope.
That's a fucking man right there.
You want a guitar that's wireless?
No, fuck off.
It might be cool, but it looks
Dude,
cool. Here's the thing:
give me some inventions, and I'll give you the straight
this
the straight talk.
just the quick. Well, I like how it looks. The sci-fi nerd in me is like, oh, I can see that being in a sci-fi band, like a futuristic looking band.
No, I would get a keytar synth thing before I would get that.
Do you want?
I would get something that is a MIDI controller, but a guitar. I wouldn't get because I need the tactile.
You want a robot inspector?
Gadget.
It generates 3D digital spatial maps and diagnoses the safety of various
Does it look
structures.
beautiful? Does it look beautiful and have a tendency to want to suck me off?
You can get that version for an extra cost. That one was to determine if buildings are safe.
No, I don't want it, dude.
Here's a regular.
I'm not really into sliding into plastic.
Here you go. QD. This is what you were talking about with the HD shit, how they always try to resell things. QD mini LED TV. Like, what are they trying to say? Mini.
What the fuck did you just say? Cutie PD?
Cutie pies.
Pedo? Cutie pedo pie? Penis piece of pie? Penis piece of pie OD?
We don't need it.
What are you saying?
We don't
Old lady?
need it.
Old lady?
It was QD.
Did you say old lady?
The letter
Old
Q
lady.
and then the letter D, and then they added mini LED onto that.
QBD? LED?
Those glasses don't look
Is this-
bad compared to the other ones.
I feel like we're spinning old school hip hop. QLED, OLED?
Someone remix these clips. Like, make clips and remix
Are you
them.
down with OPP? Yeah, you know me. LED, OLED?
This
Old
is
lady?
wait,
Oladi, olada.
that's unnecessary. Just get a regular punching bag. So much more expensive.
Wait, what do you have, a wireless punching bag? I got a wireless
It just tracks your progress
projection.
or something.
Do you see my projection, my invisible projective punching bag I
Need
just
a
got?
robot bartender. Her dress is really cool.
It's nice, huh?
I like her dress, but I don't like. I like the
Oh,
tech in the
I stopped
beginning.
watching the show. I was literally just listening to you like present these ideas while not watching the TV.
It's cool that CES had a pinball machine, a new kind of pinball machine, though. This is what I was getting at. Is I like that other guy was showing off the more controversial tech. I think he was doing it for views, for extra attention.
Oh,
And she's trying to show the tech that's actually more practical, more useful, or actually cool.
That guy just got gold.
I think so.
He knew when he recorded that guy. Like, he had to probably use all his footage,
Yeah.
but when they recorded that dude said just the right stuff to make something almost probably go viral. They'll probably pull that from.
They will.
Yeah, it's gonna be a meme and shit pretty soon.
This TV that they're showing off. This
480 hertz.
Yeah.
What does that do? Come out of the screen and kick you in the balls?
It would look like you're looking through a window. It wouldn't look like a TV. That's why that would look like. That's actually advancement.
With that space shit, dude.
That's just better tech, right?
Holy fuck.
This video doesn't even show it properly unless we were to do this. And that kind of shows it. That kind of does, but that's the best resolution I can put this video at. And it does look smooth as hell. Like, it does, you can kind of tell. But I just got my first 150 hertz monitor that I've ever had that I'm using right now, and it's good. It's enough. Like, I don't know, like, I need more.
Wow, 150. I've only seen like 120, and usually that's just like a sports feature because it looks too weird with movies and games.
The actual, I remember my best friend's dad at the time. He spent like $4,000 something on his TV at that time. This was in like 2005 or something like that. And I went over to their house and I saw the first ever 60 hertz TV. And
I thought they were all 60.
No.
I thought they were 60 then to 120.
Nope. The most common one until recent times was 30 FPS. 30 frames per second was the most common amount. Actually, the back in the day, cartoons, animations, used to be 24 frames per second cartoons.
That's because you had to hand draw the motherfuckers.
But because of the way CRT TVs worked, you actually had really high frames per second on CRT TVs because of the way that they function. We actually went backwards in tech when we got LED and LCD and then LED and then QLED TVs. Actually, it takes more. But the reason I bring this up is that like 144 hertz, which is what my monitor is, looks great. It looks fine. And back when this was shown to me at my friend's house, I thought I was looking through a window. I was like, this is a TV? Like TVs can even do this? It was so mind-blowing to me. And I've become so jaded now that 60 frames per second doesn't look as good as
that's the problem with it. Like and I'm starting to like just be cool with this older reality and aesthetic, because that was hard when I was in my 20s, because that from plasma to LED, like that time, everything was changing so much, and it really upset me because I'd be like, oh man, like I'd love to have one of these big 60-inch, you know, and like it's like always in the back of my mind, like
true.
And I felt like I didn't enjoy what I had, so I would always be like, oh, I wish this was better. And that's part of what I don't like about it. That kind of turned me off to a lot of these trendy shows, because it's like, do we need it? And I mean, I guess it makes sense, right? Because not all of us buy a new phone every year.
QHD
so eventually
is,
you're gonna get something new and nice, but
1440.
Maybe not today, right?
QHD is what I have on my monitor now, is 1440p instead of 1080, right? And that's plenty. And that cost me $180 or something for this monitor. So this one, they don't say the price, would probably be close to $900 for this one.
Damn, you know your shit, man. I'm gonna have to talk to you about tech when I'm getting some new monitors, because I realize I've gotten old.
It's crazy though, because
like I used to keep up on this stuff.
I even have it took me a long time, because what Coster's talking about is that he has 165 hertz, but it's only 1080. So I wanted to upgrade in both. I wanted more hertz and I wanted higher resolution, and I realized that when you do both of those, if you want to upgrade in both, you get really expensive. You can get higher hertz, a better refresh rate, but you'll get stuck at 1080p if you want to go cheaper. But I wanted to go both, so it took me a while to find one that was affordable, that also was an upgrade for both. And that's what we're running for, like as part of the breath of fresh air. Like, it's okay to not have the latest and greatest thing. Like, calm down, guys. You're gonna end up spending an arm and a leg, and in a year it's gonna be brand new. Like, I just upgraded my video card, it feels like, and they just came out with the 50 series of video cards, and they're like $1,000 a card, and I spent $700 on my card, and it was like, it's already so obsolete, like so obsolete. It's annoying, and the games can't even keep up. The game developers can't keep up with the tech.
And from my perspective, I'll say CP is a cautionary tale, where I really this simple day being in the arcade, and because when I got older, I think things got to me, you know, like they would to anyone. Life gets challenging, and having the comfort of a little home arcade is something that drives people sometimes. And I have to remember that I don't need to get all the Ataris. I don't need to get that new Atari thing, because I just have the other Atari. I have to champion the things I have, and if I get too many iterations, the stuff that I do have, I really try to prioritize on the one that's going to matter. And the old hardware is what I went with, because like this, it's the housing, it's the presentation. and I wait for the last moment and don't run right out and try to buy the newest old thing, because there was a lot of cool stuff at CES. I didn't even mention the Sega pairing with My Arcade and the Sonic and Streets of Rage, like mini arcades. It's there's a lot of cool stuff, but know when to reel it in. I get the little tiny arcade thing up there. You can't see, it's out of frame. Go with the small things sometimes. Don't feel like you have to get everything in every set, because I was that guy. And prioritize these things. Don't let them think they could sell you your childhood, because you can't ever go back, and you'll think one more thing, I'll be there. Huge. One more thing, I'll be there. One more thing. Like, embrace your life now, and keep the pieces of that childhood that highlight you as an adult now and what are important. Not pull you back, keep you from the person you should be becoming, I guess.
I discovered a really elegant solution to that conundrum. If you want to feel like a kid again, the only way to do that is to seek new experiences, because that's all that being a kid is all new experiences. So you need to seek new experiences in your life.
Yeah, don't go watch Ghostbusters again. Go watch some movie that no one's ever heard.
Yeah. Like Turbo Kid.
Like what I mean? Yeah, I love that. And thing, even that's nostalgic.
But it's a new thing even that's, in that old light. It's a
go watch Terrifier.
Terrifier.
We haven't had a slasher this popular since Scream.
Oh my god.
It's definitely defining history. No, but yeah, Matt's right. There's the things you haven't done. We've talked about this with our vision boards and our plans for the year.
It's behind me.
There are other. This mine, I'm gonna put some updates. Mine went crazy, and Matt doesn't even.
I don't even know. Stuff, I don't even know what you've done to yours.
He doesn't even know. It's quite wild, and it's going to be an ongoing fun project, and it's inspiring a lot. But that's because I decided to be a kid again and cut up paper and glue paper and think in my imagination and try to think about who I am quietly as I just cut paper, because you need to do things that are different. I as an adult, I've lost myself in a lot of ways because I don't allow myself to do things that are stupid. I think I got to go out and do a convention. I got to go out and get a job to make money. I have to pay bills. This spring, we should just go out for 20 minutes a day and dig. You want to do that? Go find a place in your yard.
Where are we digging?
In the woods. Just find a place in your yard, and 20 minutes every day, you go out there and you dig. And you see what happens. You just see what happens.
You dig it.
That's because see what I'm saying, Matt? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to make sense, but if you do something and you commit to it, eventually, like we've done a million times, like you've done with the number 42 and I've done with arcade history, you build significance into your life. I think I figured it all out for myself of the information that I need and the things that are around me. But it's a time of action. It's a time of fight, and the fight might start with a surrender. That might be the way you start it. You sign a peace treaty before you even start the war, because I'm done gaining ammunition and I'm done firing at nothing. It's just you have to go out there and proactively find the fight, and the fight might not even be worth fighting. You got to find yourself, and don't let all this little trinkety stuff take away from you. If you can't afford that stuff, man, get into old tech. You'll find free CRTs. Just pretend it's 1987 and you're a little kid again, and people are just giving away TVs on the side of the road. Because that's the fun things that I get from getting these stupid old stuff that just nobody wants, because somebody once back then paid thousands of dollars for this shit, and they were coveted, and their neighbors were like, oh, they got the flat screen CRT, that's nice. And
oh dude,
now they're just in junk piles. He's got the DVD with the built-in VHS. Nobody cares anymore. And I will say one big thing that I got out of the last couple of years that I'm starting to realize now. I worked for a lot of people who the most minute detail would throw their whole world off, like a mark on a kitchen counter. All these things that strive for perfection, and to keep everything beautiful or comparable to other people. And I watched a lot of them die, go crazy, or have significant loss in their lives anyway. And I'm starting to get to the point where, why did all those silly little things matter so much when we're all headed to the same end? If we all know, I'm not saying what's after life itself, but we know we're coming to an end, and all this shit, man, all this stuff to keep up with, all this who are we, all this confusion about the next and the new thing. I think humanity needs to slow down and stop and look around and take some notes, because we're going too fast, and it kept me in my head for too long.
I said it better myself, dude.
Yeah, man.
That's our show.
It's our show. We gave you a special start to the year technological CES semi report, and yeah, that was cool.
My final thought is just touch.
Make sure you put CES in the thumbnail.
Yeah.
You gotta do it, dude. Get it out soon.
Touch grass,
just make
man.
it flashing.
That's my main takeaway from all this is if you can,
dude, it's fucking snow out there. I can't touch
snow.
I can't touch the grass.
Touch the snow, then, man.
I'm just saying. She's fucking scaring me. Windstorm's coming, Annie. Better get inside. That's what I feel like when I'm up there right now.
I just
it's
think
like Hoth meets fucking episode 1.
Enjoy your tech that you have, but also reconnect with your roots and your nature, your human nature.
Yeah, Matt couldn't live without his anal pulsar 5000. They've been married since day one.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
No, they're married. Alrighty, let's go ahead and rate out. 3.
Thanks for joining us, guys. 2025, innit?
3, 2, 1.
Contact.
1, 2, 3.
Roll 5.
1, 2, 1, 2. What were you doing during our last show? You were counting to mark the moments. 1, 3, 1, 3, 2, 4, 5.
1, 2, 4, 5.
6,
and roll 5.
6,
1, 6.
6, 1, 6, 2.
Go 5.
You can be a man, you can stay here for the night, rest your